People who have accidentally killed someone. What went wrong? Part 3. My cousin ran over someone and instantly killed the person. It was a case of drunk driving. He was depressed for a while, but the sinister part of that is the powers that be got involved and charges were dropped. I thought that was purely unfair for the other party regardless they were paid off or not. To this day I look at my cousin in another way. Another cousin of mine, on the other hand, was a victim of drunk driving. He was the passenger and passed instantly just like the victim above. It's taken years to get a sentence for the friend. He relocated and now have a family. He wants a reduced or no sentence at all because of his children. No idea if this will be granted. Not me, but my father-in-law. He was at home with his girlfriend when a young man high on something broke into their place through a window. While his girlfriend called the cops, my father-in-law grabbed him and pinned him down until the police arrived. The intruder ended up dying from a combination of the drugs and a few other factors. Father-in-law was charged with murder, but all the charges were eventually dropped. It messed him up for life. He never got over the guilt and ended up passing away from an overdose himself a decade later, leaving behind 6 young kids. On Christmas Eve, I made the decision to remove my father from life support. He had oropharyngeal cancer and was brain dead from a carotid blowout. I know it was the right decision, but I'm pretty messed up by it. I also rescheduled his first immunotherapy treatment until after the holidays, and I wonder if he had it as originally scheduled, if he would have lived a little longer. I sure miss him. In Afghanistan, we were told never to drive back the way we came, because anyone we passed who had planted an IED would be ready for us this time. One of our units was on patrol and command decided they needed to go back to the town they just left to interview someone else, or something like that. It's been 20 years. The patrol tried to refuse, but orders are orders. Lieutenant Colonel Blake Ortner, you are our commander and the one who made that call. I hope you haven't forgotten Cherry and Beasley. When I was 12 years old and in ice skating lessons, a woman fell backward in front of me and her head landed on my pick. I'm not sure what happened, as I was so young that I didn't really want to look into it further, but there was a lot of blood and she was spasming on the ground. I remember having to yank my skate as it was lodged in the back of her head, and I think I might have made it worse. The rink posted on their Facebook about her death. I'm still not over it. If I had just been 3 inches further away, it wouldn't have happened. I almost killed someone, and incidentally saw the last seconds of someone's life, a few months ago. A friend and I were driving home from a show on the interstate at roughly midnight, driving at about 60 miles per hour in the middle of 5 lanes. From out of nowhere in the dark, there was someone looking at me, just a few feet from my driver's side door. I passed them in a split second, and before I could process whether what I had seen was a person or if I was hallucinating, one of the cars behind me hit them. It took me quite a while to process that I may have been the last person they ever made eye contact with. It was on the news and ruled as suicide. I definitely feel for the car behind me that ended up hitting them, because even a few seconds later, it would have been me. And I feel for the person who felt so lost, dejected, and sad, that they walked into freeway traffic. I hope they found some peace. I wasn't present when this happened, but it was a tragic accident that happened to close family members. At that time, those present were my sister, 40, her husband, 44, my niece, 22, her partner, their 16-month-old twin boys, my nephew, 20, his partner, their 2-year-old son, my nephews, 21 and 18, and my niece, 16. Pretty much the whole family was outside in the yard enjoying the weather while the little ones were playing, and almost all of them witnessed the accident. They all witnessed the aftermath. When my brother-in-law, my sister, and my niece climbed into their truck to take my niece to work, the others present made sure all the little ones, 3 toddlers, were out of the way of the truck. They did this almost every day, so they had a routine. Just as my brother-in-law was backing up, one of the twins broke loose and ran towards the vehicle. Before anyone could grab him, he tripped, as toddlers are prone to do, and fell over. Before my brother-in-law could stop, he had run him over with the truck. My niece held him as he took his last breath right there in that backyard. The paramedics came, but there was nothing they could do. The police conducted an investigation, and found no one at fault and no one was charged. I believe CPS also checked in just to make sure there was no gross negligence involved, and they agreed with the police. No one was at fault. It was a tragic accident. It's been 2 years and they are all, understandably, still struggling with the images they will never be able to forget. But my niece doesn't hold any ill will towards my brother-in-law, who is her stepfather. He is, and has always been, the best papa to his grandbabies, which now includes a little granddaughter. Sadly, he was the one behind the wheel, and I know he blames himself. He has to live with that every day. I can't even begin to imagine how heavy that weight must be. Someone was illegally passing on a double solid yellow line. I hit them at highway speed in my truck. I was hauling 40 cubic meters of sour condensate, so I didn't dare risk flipping my rig by swerving. I killed a mother and her 3 kids. Not much I could do about it. Took a few days off and was back at it the following week. Edit for those asking. Sour condensate is a petroleum product in layman's terms. It's a byproduct of the separation process. For context here, you heat oil and thin it out and separate it up into different storage tanks. It's far more complicated than I'm making it out to be. This specific product was 75% sour condensate. Imagine jet fuel, but also incredibly poisonous. This stuff was around 750,000 parts per million H2S gas. Anything over 500 parts per million depending on your personal health can kill you. Additional edits. Yeah, I'm okay, thanks for all the people asking. It was many years ago now. Also, that highway kills several people a year. It was just my number that day. It was indirectly. I was a heroin addict. I turned a good friend onto heroin. The last time I saw him, he was years into his addiction and I was clean. He looked at me and said, "You ruined my life." He died not long after. This will haunt me until I die. I have been off opiates for almost 30 years now. It's tough not to blame myself, even after all of these years. R.I.P. Carlos. I'm so sorry. I'm kind of on the other side of this. In 2021, a woman coming home from the casino at midnight turned into the wrong lane of the highway and hit my best friend since high school head-on at 80 miles per hour. Killed him instantly. Then she lied to the police and told them that he was the one driving in the wrong lane, and he was a very straight-edge dude, so this was very confusing. We wondered if he had been drugged, touched a table with fentanyl on it, etc. His poor mother couldn't understand why he would be in the wrong lane. Finally, a state investigator got involved and checked the black boxes of both vehicles. The investigator determined that my friend had let off the accelerator, but still accelerated 3 miles per hour after this. This particular road he was driving on was downhill, so they caught her in her lie. The only explanation for his acceleration was that he was indeed in the correct lane. She eventually came clean. Unfortunately, the shit-ass small-town police department had already ruled this in my friend's fault somehow, and the woman committed insurance fraud to the tune of $200,000 and left the country. There's finally some justice being done and the trial is ongoing, but it's been an exhausting, horrible ordeal. I miss him all the time. It's so hard to make male friends as an adult. We were 28 when he was killed. I joke with my wife all the time I had put all my eggs in that basket expecting him to still be around when we're old asses, lol. I'll breathe easier when this scumfuck is behind bars or has her license stripped from her. Not me, but my second cousin's husband accidentally killed his mother at a gender reveal by somehow making a homemade bomb. I would assume what went wrong was making a homemade bomb for a gender reveal. It made national news and now the entire internet makes fun of them every time a bad gender reveal comes up. He wasn't accidentally killed in the traditional sense, but I've missed some calls from service buddies who, after not being able to reach me, pulled the trigger on their suicide attempt. I've had to be at more than one funeral and listen to some mother scream at me for not answering the phone. I told the last one that she could have answered hers too. Car crash. I was 18, definitely a sad event. Just him and me. I should have died too. Edit from below. I didn't mean I should have died too. I mean my injuries were enough to kill me, or anyone really, but I had something else keeping me going. I didn't know the guy. He was in his car, I was in mine. High-speed T-bone crash. He ran his red light at 11 p.m. I was coming home from work. He was drinking. I was hit by a car while crossing a crosswalk. The car was driven by an elderly man. He was very stressed about it. Apparently, he died shortly after due to heart complications. I didn't tell my parents. They found out several weeks later from the police. That was quite the conversation. My friends never let me live it down that I had killed a man, and an old guy at that. They reminded me every time we passed the street they named after him. He was apparently a respected member of our local community. Edit. My friends were just teasing me, guys. I didn't feel traumatized or blamed by their teasing. They wouldn't have done it if I had felt that way. It just became this running joke because we passed by the street they named after this guy every day on the way to school. I lost my first girlfriend a few years ago to suicide. I don't blame myself entirely for it anymore, but I still feel responsible. I still think I could have done more. I failed to be there for her when she needed me most. As a result, the way I view and handle relationships has changed. It's made me more openly expressive in how I feel towards friends, but I don't allow myself to have deeper relationships than that. I don't think I killed her, but my inability to see the signs and lack of maturity did. Edit. Thank you for all of your kind words. I hope for the best for all of you. If any of you need help, I ask you to reach out to someone you trust or seek professional help. People care about you and think twice. No, more than twice before you do something rash. And well, friends, that was all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, let me know with a thumbs up so that YouTube can share these stories with more people. Remember to hit the bell icon to be the first to know when we upload a new video. See you next time.